So I know my hood is up. I'm now in my bedroom. It's like 20 past 10 and I really need to go to sleep now. So yeah. So today I went to my scout meeting. I ran my meeting and I got there early to make sure I had everything sorted. I went and sorted out the I went and sorted out the walkie-talkies, I sorted out my games, I talked with Duncan, and also one of the leaders, Annie, had actually planned, she had a bit to do, and she'd been given the planning, so then I was able to, she was then able to bring some stuff that was really helpful, like, she brought pictures of when she was like, I realise some of these kids have never seen these things, or if it happens, they'll freak out and not know what to look for, and then we did that. Then we did the Energizer, and it was really good, because they all really enjoyed it, they all got it, it was, like, very easy for them to do. Then at one point I was even able to switch out with another person, and they were able with one of the scouts, and they were able to do it. God, I love Evie. Then one of the kids, Evie, she did it, and she was really good at it because I'm never things like that where I'm always a bit of surprise element of surprise I'm not very good at. So I outsourced, which is something I was not really outsourced. I gave someone else the job, which is something I always really struggle with. I always think, oh my god, if I'm running, so I have to do everything when I don't. Yeah, and then I go into my games, I explain, it's all going okay, I'm getting interrupted a little bit, and people are talking a little bit, but, nothing I can't handle at this point. Spoiler alert, it gets worse. And then, we split the groups into three, and of course this is a bit of a trauma because in the Scouts, unfortunately, we have three very distinct groups. We have the younger Scouts, typically the girls, then we have the older Scouts, typically the boys. And then when you try and split up, and then you have the Explorers, we have three very distinct groups, which is really a problem and something I've really been trying to solve through this, because I feel like it really isn't very helpful to the group, and I feel like it just, kind of separates everybody, and so I've been trying to work on that, so I was naming them 1, 2, 3, but then somehow, 3 of the boys were on one team, and that was physically impossible. There were 4 of them in a row. 1, 2, 3, 1. These two, not these two. And somehow all of them were on the same group. The same with the 3 girls. Completely annoying. So then I do this about twice, and then for the third time, Duncan does it, and they actually go in their corners, and we have at least a somewhat even spread, because I want these guys to actually build some relationships in between each other instead of just having 2 groups. Because I understand which is don't have the same partner every single time. But, I'd like people to actually build their relationships within. Sorry, let me just turn on my little fairy lights here. My little tree. Yeah, and then I do this, and I split them into 3, and I go and do my group, and then I discover that we've actually had to narrow the times down to 15 minutes because we need 5 minutes to transfer, and in fact it takes about 2. And everyone got to do their own thing. The things worked really well, but for the first one, Duncan wasn't able to do his whole thing, but then the second and third one, he was really good and he managed to do them. I wasn't able to do my whole thing. For instance, I was able to do the matching games, but not the third one, but not the extra activity I had for them. And then, yeah. And I'm going through the groups, I'm doing group 1, it goes well, I'm going group 2, I'm giving them advice, I'm trying to step back a little bit, let them do it themselves. I'm also trying to make sure that everyone kind of space. At one point I had one of the Explorers just kind of laying back and chilling, and I was like, dude, come on. You're 18, and then I had him sit there and he helped, and that was really good. But then it came the third group, and I'd already had problems with 2 of the people in the third group. I'm just going to tell you their real names: Owen and Finn. So, yeah, lovely. Owen and Finn, were next to each other, and they were in the same. They were in the same group. Fine, chill with your friends, and they were with, very luckily for my sake, a girl. I shouldn't call her little. A girl called Evie. She was helping earlier, and she's very helpful. Sometimes she's a bit shouty, but very good at if I need to get everyone to call the group together, I ask either her or Duncan, because they're just very good, loud people. And then what I did after that was I went through the games, but what I consistently found was that during that one, Owen would either yell over me when I was trying to explain something, or I would have to repeat myself and then say, okay guys, for the third time, I would every single time have to make it extremely clear that I was being talked over, being ignored, or whatever. I think I told them about twice about it in that one time. And I found that really, really frustrating because I was really good with the rest of the group. Like I was doing it, I was keeping control, but I was also not panicking, which is my big thing. I don't like dealing with big groups because when things go wrong, I tend to panic. So I was managing it, I was doing great, I was like leading the group and everyone seemed to be having a right time because it's not the most fun thing, it's the least fun of these meetings. I have them do them and everyone's like learning and, whenever someone's doing exceptionally good, I point out, hey, you're doing a great job, because I feel like people often need to hear that. Dad? Okay. Sorry. And so I make sure I do that, and I make sure everybody, feels included and helped, and then I split them. So I basically do one game, which is you match, the name, the treatment, the name, the picture, and the habitat, or like the place they live, for a bug, Like, not a bug, like a stinging nettle, or like, ticks, or horseflies, or wasps, or bees, or stinging nettles, or what's the last one? Mosquitoes, where they like to live, all of that stuff that's really important to know. And while they're doing that, I keep getting shouted over. And then when I split them into two groups to try and do the rest of it, I'm either, again, talked over, or ignored, or all of this. And this is one of my least favourite things. So at this point, I am magically keeping my cool. I'm being like, hey guys, you're interrupting me, as I was saying, which is my big thing. Like, that's the biggest thing I struggle with, and I think this is going to become a major part of my CAS project, is, being assertive, telling them, like, I was very good today at telling people, no, step back, give me some space. But with those two, it's very difficult, because it's not like you just say something and they listen. You have to say something a dozen times from like 3 different people, and then they listen. And yeah, so this has been a very long reflection, but it's been a very long day. And we go through all of these and it's going fine, but then at the end we have about 30 minutes and I'm like, okay, probably have like 20 minutes to play this game that I made that, is nice. And I was struggling a little bit here because aside from the fact that those two were standing behind me and I was a bit like, guys, can you go and stand in front of me? But they didn't listen. Yes. Welcome to Lucy's Magical Meltdown. It's like 10:30. I still do sleep. Okay, sorry. Carrying on. And then, I'm struggling. This is where I get a little bit panicky because, I don't have enough scripts. I didn't realise that. I have thingies not going. There's lots of loud noises around me, and there are people who just are consistently pressing buttons and stuff. This is stuff I'm nervous about next week. But next week, I think the trick is going to be keep the things out of sight, or in another room until that they're ready and they've listened and they understand what's going on, because otherwise they can't concentrate. It's like they just like are gravitating towards something. So that's what I've learned for next time. And I work through it and I deal with it, and Duncan is amazing. Like, sometimes he once or twice in the last meeting he overstepped a little bit, like sometimes not really overstepped, but like he explained something and I was like, no, that's not right, you're wrong, this is what's right. So dealt with that, and he was really helpful. Like, he sorted out all the thingies, and then 2 kids just kind of do it by themselves, and I'm like so proud of them for being so independent and being like, okay, this isn't working clearly, I'm gonna go and do it. And they all do it and they all kind of understand what's going on, and it's great. And then the next part comes, and for some reason there is a water gun in the front of the cupboard, and one of the kids, Owen, the kid who was talking over me the entire day and ignoring me and the usual, picks it up and starts shooting his friend with it. And so I'm like, no. Well, I can't remember actually what I said, but I'm fairly certain I told him no before, and then I told one of the scouts, hey, Greta, thanks for telling me, could you see if you can get him off him? And then I think she gets it off of him, but then he takes it back from her friend, and her friend is Zoe, and Zoe is lovely. Like, Zoe is who I want to be when I'm grown up. Very chill, very calm, very sweet. Was probably who I was when I was younger. And then I see them walking towards the fire exit, and I go up to my leader and I'm like, okay, so I've been told not to shout or get frustrated or get annoyed, but I was like, okay, this isn't fair, they do not listen to me, so I need to make them shut up. So what I did was I walked over and I told them, give me the gun back now. I'm running a meeting for the first time and you pull this. Take the gun, empty it out, which takes a while because it's a dumb gun. Put it in the front. And this is where I went, because I should have moved it somewhere different, but the thing is that, like, I understood that they're kids, they do stupid things, but I trusted them to not pick it up again. 5 minutes later, Owen's back with the gun, standing there, and at this point I've had to tell him, I've either had to take it off, I've had to take it off him twice, and this is the third time he's had it, so then I tell him, right, give me the gun now, I expect better from both of you, and then he gives me the gun. Because the thing is that it wasn't I don't understand what she's saying, or I don't understand this, because every single time the gun was handed back. But then when he did it the last time, he didn't, every single time he went and picked it back up. And I actually talked to my leaders about this. I said to one of them, like, we need to figure out a plan with these two because this is unacceptable. This is insane. I should not be putting up with this. Hey, Mum. Yeah, so that was the thing. Basically, the main thing about this one is that I've texted one of my other leaders and he's more scary than I am, so I'm going to get him on the case of the two of them. And I think next time I'm probably going to go up to them and be like, if they pull too much of this shit again or start not listening or, doing this or that or the other, I will just tell them. I will ask the leaders for permission to be like, okay, if you're not going to listen to me, then you can leave the meeting, because that's what I need to do. I need to be very assertive. I need to make sure that there are clear consequences of, hey, if you don't do this, if you don't listen to me, because next week we're doing sushi and that's going to be so stressful. And so I just need to be like, okay, if you're not going to listen to me, then we're going to find another way. Then, you don't get to be here, because I don't spend literal hours of my time making meetings and planning and sorting and the like for you to just disrespect me and my time by just doing nothing. So basically that's the main thing is, leading big groups. I'm really going to struggle with that next week, so we're doing sushi, so I might do maybe a practice this weekend if I have the time with my buddies. And then the second one is that, making sure someone's on their case, because I told my other because I told one of them, and he didn't, I think me and one of the female leaders get spoken over with those two a lot, and, she said they straight up don't listen to her, which is pretty horrendous considering, I get it when it's one of these explorers, like, they're a kid, but when it's like a full-grown adult, one of the leaders, it's ridiculous. Sorry, I went through this, like, yeah, and I told one of my other leaders, and I'm gonna tell him at the beginning, like, they pull this shit, we pull out some claws, because again, like, most of the learning project is working with big groups, and I think it's unfair to assume that I think it's unfair for me to work with a group that is incapable, that does not work with me or does not listen. Yeah, so thank you for coming to my TED Talk.